Okay, so I know there's still audio level issues. It's Tuesday. I'm early because Noah's home. He's sick to his stomach. I think it's something he ate yesterday. Thanksgiving. But regardless of what it is or isn't, um, I'm home early. I brought him home Pepto nacho chips because they're bland. Plenty of the giant Nestea cans, including half and half lemonade. Problems with Fruitopia. Basically, I just gotta make sure his electrolytes are up because it's what plants crave, right? So, just kidding. If I was worried about his electrolytes, I would have brought home Brondo. No, anyway, today's a crazy day. So it's probably a good thing on some level that I'm home. There's a lot of stuff people want me to address, so I'll just scatterbrain this because this is going to be one of those scatterbrain videos. I don't even know what I'm going to title this other than Crazy NHL Day because it is the start of the season. The Canucks have seen the light. Jim Benning just announced that Emerson Edom is going to be put on waivers. Thank God. If any team wants to have him, come on in and get him. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Ducks pick him back up, especially if they don't have Raquel in camp. So there goes another Medicine Hat Tiger. Jack Skilly has apparently made the Canucks. Kucherov signs a 3-year deal with an average hit of $4.76 million. See, it's funny, again, these contracts are in line with what I said. I said these guys are asking too much money. They're comparing themselves to guys they haven't earned that money yet. And GMs agree with me. You can look at the numbers and go, oh, well, this guy scored more points than this guy, so you should get more money. That's not always how it works. So Kucherov gets about what he deserves. Ristolainen gets a lot of money from Buffalo. But it's not a bad cap hit. And honestly, for a young defenseman who's going to play top 2 minutes, it's a fair contract. The Flames sign, I know they signed Grossman and Versteeg. I think those are both solid depth signings for Calgary. Calgary definitely needed to shore up their depth a little bit. They've done that. Condon gets picked up on waivers by Pittsburgh. This is just a temporary move. Once he's done, or once Fleury's back off the injured list, Condon will be put back on waivers, and odds are Montreal pick him back up and throw him in the minors. Parento gets picked up by the Devils. Polkinen, here, now I gotta look it up. I had it. I know Seth Griffith went to Toronto. Oh, there we go. Tuomo Ruutu released. So, Canucks fans who expected to see him in the lineup, he didn't make it. And of course, Stetcher getting sent down and Larson being up. There's Canucks fans who are up in arms about that. You know what? It's a 6th defenseman spot. So there's that. But yeah, 6-year contract for Ristolainen. Clayson clears waivers. Ruslan Fedotenko retired. I'm sure there's people who are saying Fedotenko is still playing. McNeil clears waivers. Pulak goes to the minors from the Islanders. The Islanders are carrying 3 goaltenders in a baffling move. Yeah, there it is. Parento claimed by New Jersey. Carolina claimed Dahlbeck. Klaas Dahlbeck. Which is good because their defense is pretty bad. Timu Polkinen gets picked up by Minnesota, which is a good move for Minnesota. I know Canuck fans were like, oh, let's get Polkinen. No, let's not, and just leave it at that. Brandon Lemieux gets sent to the minors, and Anthony Mantha. You know, I really thought Mantha was going to make the team this year and do something, but this is going to be rough. But Seth Griffith to Toronto is a good move. It's a very smart move by Toronto. And I don't see I don't see Toronto's name in terms of smart moves. If you look back 3 or 4 years, and they make a lot of smart moves now. But I'm wondering if the Islanders are going to move out a goaltender, because they're carrying 14 forwards, 6 defensemen, and 3 goalies. So something's got to give there. Would Berube clear waivers? Because, Halak is fantastic. It is a shame that Ruutu got released by the Canucks. I thought he played well, but again, and I said this at the start. Okay, I said this at the start of training, before the preseason really got going. I said, preseason doesn't mean much. Teams have most of their players already figured out. They've got it all on paper. And in order to jump somebody, you've got to completely outplay them badly. Now, people are going to say Stetcher did that to Larson. I'm going to counter and say Larson had to clear waivers. Stetcher didn't. That's GM 101. Okay, I have 2 guys to choose between. Who am I going to choose? Well, this guy doesn't have to clear waivers. I can delay this decision until a month from now. So let's say Larson's for his first 10 games is brutal. He's just awful. The Canucks can put him on waivers, bring Stetcher back up, no harm, no foul, and I found it interesting too that apparently there's a lot of complaining and hemming and hawing about Jake Virtanen. Can the Canucks find a prospect they like? That's an honest question. I've watched McCann get booted out of town, Shinkarik get booted out of town. Now Virtanen looks to be on his way out of town. Just from the way people are talking, it's like, okay. And with Shinkarik, there was talk of attitude. With McCann, there was talk of attitude. And now I'm hearing Virtanen. When Mike Gillis drafted, and I know a lot of people don't like Mike Gillis, but Mike Gillis looked at scholastics, and he looked at character. Part of the reason Cody Hodgson was drafted 10th overall, is because he looked at whether or not they were intelligent. He went through interviews. He thought that the mental side of the game was big. Now, Benning seems to be looking at something different, and I don't know if it's aggression. I don't know. When he's drafting, he's clearly looking at something different than what Gillis did. Now, if McCann went for attitude, Shinkarik went partly due to attitude, and if Virtanen is, going to Utica partly due to attitude and work ethic, what's going on with Benning? And he's got Trampkin, who doesn't want to go to the minors, or he'll go to the KHL. Like, is there not a pre-interview process going on with the Canucks prospects right now? Because with where the team is at, and it's not good, then your prospects, your future, becomes huge. It should be your primary focus. And I'm not seeing that a whole lot. It's funny, I got this Dallas hat, and I wear it a lot with this Dallas jersey, and I've had, quite a few days lately where it's been, ever since I got this hat, where I've been wearing them together, and I realized that looks odd, especially if you're new. If you have become a recent subscriber and you're looking going, why is he wearing Dallas? I cheer for this many teams. Vancouver first, Boston second, Dallas third. But right now, Dallas is my hope. Boston I have very little, and Vancouver I have not a whole lot either. And releasing Ruutu, to me, seems odd, because he played well enough for a roster spot. I'm surprised Burroughs is still in the lineup. I'm surprised it took this long for them to waive Emerson Edom. He should have been waived 3 games ago. Jack Sealy getting signed is a good move. I'm surprised it didn't happen earlier too. Sending down Stetcher and keeping up Larson is baffling to me. And of course, when people say, oh well, it's not the best players that made it, it almost never is. Because preseason and regular season are completely different beasts. But some of these guys are going to be back. Not all, but some of them are going to be back. I think Stetcher, will see him before the end of October, because there's always injuries on the blue line. And there's rumors that Goodbranson could be out for a while too. I would find that really funny because Rodin's on the IR. The Canucks have Rodin on IR. And so I can't say for sure whether or not this guy is going to be anything in the NHL, and neither can anybody else. Now, if Goodbranson goes on IR, then for people who support Goodbranson and say that I was wrong with the McCann deal, they can't say anything. I can't say anything either because we don't see him on the ice. It's hilarious. The Crosby concussion. Might as well touch on that, I guess. Somebody requested yesterday to do a video on it. There isn't really a whole lot to talk about. Nobody quite for sure knows what happened. He's in practice on Friday. Everything seems fine. After practice, apparently he did interviews. Seemed fine. Monday, they're saying something happened in practice on Friday and he's got a concussion. Now, with Crosby's injury history, his concussion history, it could be anything. It could be a very seemingly harmless hit that for anybody but Crosby is harmless. For Crosby, it's a concussion. So while Crosby skated with the team today and said, well, I'm day to day, and I don't have any reason to distrust him on that, at the same time, concussions seem day to day, and yet they can become week to week and month to month. And with the history that Crosby has, there's just no telling. No telling. So hopefully he's not out for very long because I think he's pretty damn good player, probably the best in the league. And I would say that probably the best players in the league, I'd put him and Patrick Kane as the top two. Just personally. I watched Kane tear the league up last year, but and the thing with Kane and now with Crosby as well, even when they're not scoring, they're doing so much to lead their team that their value is insanely high. I know as a guy who didn't cheer for the Hawks and now I halfway do, not against my favorite teams, but in general, I respect the Hawks, and I have acquired an ability to not hate them. That's about as close as I can get right now. But, you know, it's largely based on Kane. Kane's a beast. And so is Crosby. So while Crosby isn't, you know, a 100-point scorer anymore, he is still full value and he is still a leader. But those 3 Stanley Cups that Chicago got, that's why those guys get all that money. I don't know how else to explain it. When you lead your team to Stanley Cup, you get more money. When you lead a team to 3 Stanley Cups, quasi-dynasty by today's standards anyways, you get a lot of money. A lot. There were certainly players for the Edmonton Oilers in the late 80s, early 90s who got money that they didn't necessarily deserve because they won Stanley Cups in Edmonton. It happens. It happens because you look at a 20-goal scorer and then you look at a 20-goal scorer who just won the Stanley Cup. Which one's going to be more demand? That guy who just won the Stanley Cup because you watched him carry that cup around. You watched him for 4 series and you saw something in his game that you liked. Maybe you saw some stuff you didn't, but you saw a lot of stuff you liked. It's just hockey. It's just the way it is. Anyways, so that's my crazy day stuff. I don't see anything else in here that's big news, really. But again, it's fans get too emotionally attached to certain players, and the belief that, you know, certain players are going to be more than they are. Chris Higgins was released by Calgary, which is too bad. Because Higgins was decent in his day. Rene Bourque gets signed by Colorado. Laurie Korpikoski gets signed to a 1-year contract by Dallas. Michael McCarron gets sent down by Montreal. Havlich cleared waivers and goes to Manitoba. Dano goes to the minors. Malcolm Subban's down in Providence again. Jake DeBrusk goes to Providence. Braden Shen's suspended 3 games for charging. That's not the last time he's going to be suspended for that kind of crap. A bunch of nobodies at this point, guys who are never going to play again, placed on IR. Max Lapierre signed in Switzerland. Julius Honka goes down to Texas from Dallas. I had hoped he'd make it, but it's fine. Again, it's a waiver thing. He doesn't need to clear waivers, so it makes sense to send him down. Yeah, that's about it. Ville Polka gets sent down by Chicago, so congratulations, Gustav Forsling and Michael Kempny on making the Chicago Blackhawks. And we'll see if Canucks fans' heads explode if Forsling becomes what I think he's going to become. Anyways, that's it from me for now. I will be back later. I am off. Tomorrow's opening night in the NHL. I will be around for that. The hockey pool will get done and will get finished. And we're going to have fun with it from there. Anyways, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing through. And thanks for watching, and I will talk to you all again very soon.